السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولقد آتينا لقمان الحكمة أن اشكر لله ومن يشكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه ومن كفر فإن الله غني حميد. وإذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه يا بني لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حملته أمه وهنا على وهن وفصاله في عامين أن اشكر لي ولوالديك إلي المصير. وإن جاهداك على أن تشرك بي ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما وصاحبهما في الدنيا معروفا واتبع سبيل من أناب إلي ثم إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. صدق الله العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الرسل وخاتم النبيين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. All thanks be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all praise be to Him. We thank Him for this opportunity that He has granted us, that we are in the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to learn and discuss the Quran. And this is from the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and from His karam. For the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that there are some people who are studying in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and upon them the tranquility of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends, and upon them His mercy, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upon them, and the angels, they gather around and they encompass this gathering as well. So we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He makes this gathering to be of them as well. Ameen. The topic which I'll be talking about today is regarding Luqman alayhi salatu wassalam. And there is actually a whole chapter, a whole surah which is named Luqman. Though this conversation which takes place between him and his son only extends to a few ayats. The first point is regarding who was this person and what was his status. The Quran is not going to detail with regards to who he was, and the only information that we are given is his name, and that is Luqman. Some said that he was Abyssinian. Some said he was a descendant of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Shaykh Amin Ahsan Salahi, he proposes a third option, and he says from his study of poetry of the Jahiliyyah, he has found that they attribute him to be from Yemen. And he was actually one of the chiefs from the tribes of Yemen. And this advice that he is giving, he's giving to his son, who is soon about to take the mantle of responsibility and become the chieftain of that tribe. So here we have another option of who this person was. What the Quran does say is that we have given this person, Luqman, we have given him hikmah. We have given him wisdom. And the question arises, what is hikmah? Some said this is nubuwwah, this is prophethood. Majority said no. Luqman was, in fact, he wasn't a prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not bless him with nubuwwah, but granted him hikmah. Hikmah meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him fahm, granted him understanding, granted him aql, granted him intelligence. So this was a man who Allah had endowed with wisdom. Them two things together means the person has wisdom. And the first thamara, or the first fruit of wisdom, is that he is grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We may think a person is wise and he has wisdom because he is very philosophical, or because he has great intelligence in terms of the natural sciences, or because he may be really good at business. But the reality is that wisdom, the first sign of it is that he recognizes who his Lord is. And he attributes every single blessing that he has been given and he can see to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is true wisdom. That is true hikmah. And that should be our standard when we are judging people and we are attributing to them wisdom, or we hold them in high stead that this person is wise. Our first criteria should be, does this person even recognize who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is? If he cannot even recognize that reality, then that person has no hikmah. He has no wisdom. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةَ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ. That we granted Luqman hikmah, saying, be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another question arises, what comes first? Does hikmah come first, then shukr, or the shukr come and then Allah grants you wisdom? Which way is it? The reality is that if you have hikmah, then you will recognize the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But also, if a person is grateful, that will increase him in his wisdom, because he understands the reality of this dunya. Because we are in a temporal place. And hikmah is, in fact, trying to establish, trying to implement the permanent ideals which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid out to us in the temporal realities in which we live. That's what the challenge is. The Quran has granted us and given us many ideals that we should strive to, that we should aspire to. And we are trying to implement them into our lives. And hikmah is understanding how and what is the best way to implement them into the life that we live. Because our contexts differ from place to place. Challenges differ. The time is different. The age is different. So we cannot directly implement the life of the Prophet ﷺ into our lives now. That hikmah is needed. That understanding, that fahm, that aql is needed. How do we implement it? That in reality is also what we know as hikmah. What is shukr? That is what is needed, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. And what is meant by shukr is ita'ah, is obedience. How are you going to be thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? By obeying Him. He's asking from us to do certain obligations. He's obligated certain things upon us. And when we do them to the best of our ability, that is the element of shukr. Shukr is not simply saying, I am grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that He has given me. And then every step you take, you go on disobeying Him. That is not shukr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ. Whoever is grateful, he is grateful for himself. I.e. the benefit, he is benefiting himself. We do not benefit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our shukr. If this thought passes anyone's mind, he should remove it. Allah does not gain any benefit from our obedience to Him or our disobedience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's kingdom does not increase by our obedience, by our shukr. Neither does His kingdom decrease by our disobedience. Rather, what increases and decreases is our a'mal, is our good deeds. It is going to be either we are going to be increased in the ajr, in the reward that we are given, or what's going to increase is the punishment that we are given. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala huwa al-ghani. And that is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to end this ayah. Inna Allahu al-ghani al-hamid. Allah is self-sufficient. Allah is independent. He doesn't need us, we need Him. We are fuqara ala Allah. We are dependent upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is independent of His creation. Huwa al-hamid. He is Hamid. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He possesses all the lofty attributes. He is not in need of anything. He doesn't need our praises. He is self-praiseworthy. So this element of shukr and what Luqman is teaching his son, this is going to be the first thing which he draws his attention to. Because he himself has perfected this, or not perfected, because as human beings we can never perfect something, but he has truly embodied shukr in his life by way of hikmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted him. And now what is he going to do with this that he has embodied and the lessons that he has learned? He's going to pass it on to his son. And this is another lesson that we learn from these ayats, is the connection between the parents and the children. This is a conversation between a father and a son. And this is a deep conversation. This is not a simple conversation of, son, how was your day today? Oh, it was good, okay, bye. Not that kind of conversation. This is a true conversation. This is about the meaning of life. What you need to do to succeed in life. We need to be asking ourselves, what kind of conversations are we having with our children? We live very busy lives. People, 9-to-5 jobs, and you come home, you're tired. I would actually like to see research on this in terms of how much quality time do parents actually give their children? How much meaningful conversation do you have with your child in a day? Because from my experience, in terms of working in schools and seeing children, this is something that is lacking, massively. Children in their conversations that I have, they hate their parents. I had a conversation recently with one young person, because another thing that you have to understand is that children go through a lot. They go through so much, especially what society throws at them. And if that support is not at home, then they will respond in so many different ways. And in this conversation that I was having with one youngster, the end of the conversation, I was just simply shocked. Literally every single person in his life he didn't like. Whether that he was his mother, his father, his siblings, he got on with literally nobody. And the reality is that because he is in this situation, because his relationship with his parents is just that. Do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. You're getting annoying, that's it. That is the extent of their relationship with their children. And if that is the extent of your relationship with your child, then don't be surprised if he goes off the rails. Because he's got nowhere else to go. The reality is home is where they make it or break it. Home is what makes it for them or what breaks it for them. If the house is stable, if the relationship between the mother, the father, the children is solid, then I can see that in the students at school. And when it comes to parents evening, you can see that as well. Whose parents turn up? Who is asking how well their child is doing? Who is even bothered? And by the way, the children also pick up on that. When you show an interest in their lives, they recognize that. They appreciate that. But if you don't care, if you don't turn up to parents' evening, if you don't take an interest in what they are doing, that there's a gap. What is your relationship with your child, apart from the fact that you are biologically related? What do you share together? What do you share? Do you share your passion of sports? Do you share a passion of leisure? Okay, these things are all okay. But the real success will come is when you both share a passion for this deen. When father and son share a passion for Islam and for the rida of Allah, that bond is unbreakable. And that bond will stay forever. Because you will meet each other again in Jannah. So that is forever. Any other passion that you share, any other relationship that you share, is not forever. It doesn't last forever. Whether it's leisure, whether it's sports, whatever it is, it has an expiry date. The only thing that doesn't have an expiry date is your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this conversation, we will see is that they're not conversing about, son, what is your favorite food? What is your favorite game? Okay? What do you want to do as a job? These are all important conversations as well in their place. But the most important conversation that you can have with your children is about Allah. And you need to have that conversation. That's a continuous conversation, not a one-off conversation. And here I also warn parents, do not outsource the Islamic education of your children. That is a travesty. That is a travesty. How can you outsource the Islamic education of your child? Partially you can, not completely. There should be certain elements of the deen that your child learns from you. About the oneness of Allah, he should learn that from you. About salah, he should learn from you. Wudu, he should learn from you. These basic things of the deen, you should not outsource it. And the reason is very simple. Because things like salah, wudu, and all of these imaniyat that we hold, these stay with you for life. And the child who practices it, the reward that he generates also goes to his teacher. Do you as a father not want to be the recipient of that reward? Why would you want to give that reward to somebody else? That is ongoing sadaqah jariyah. You know, when someone passes away, suddenly everyone comes conscious, alive, and they're like, okay, we need to get our beloved, our person who's passed away into Jannah. What is the quickest way possible? Let's just throw money everywhere. That's not the quickest way possible. If you really wanted to get into Jannah, you need a long-term plan. And this is part of your planning. I'm going to educate my child. I'm going to give him the correct tarbiyah, so that he's going to act in the best way possible. He's going to be the best Muslim. So every action that he does, I'm getting the reward for it. That is sadaqah jariyah. That is knowledge that people are benefiting from. And it's not a case that we don't know how to pray. It's not a case that we don't know how to do wudu. It's not a case that we don't know how to do the Quran at all. So certain things, if you are able to do everything and teach them to your child, definitely, you should do that. You should never be dependent and outsource it that this is the Imam's job at the mosque. It is his job to educate my child. They are not proficient in it, or they are not competent in it. The reality is because they want 2 hours of peace. Yeah? They want 2 hours where the children are not at home. And if that's the case, then we really need to be thinking. So coming to these ayats, Luqman alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, Ya bunay, إذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه يا بني. And remember when Luqman said to his son, when he was advising him, when he was admonishing him, okay, when he was exhorting him. All of these translations are, inshallah, relevant and pertinent. Ya bunay, look at how he's addressing his son. This is another problem that we have. Parenting is frustrating. Not that I know anything about it, okay? But as a teacher, it is frustrating in terms of dealing with children. It's definitely frustrating. But as a parent, you cannot let, and as teachers, we cannot let that frustration get the better of us. Because children are children. Sometimes it's very easy to say, stop being stupid. Or using terms which are not good. Some parents go way across the line. And the nicknames which they are now attributing to their children are not appropriate at all. If you keep telling someone they're stupid, or if you keep telling somebody, a child, that you're bad, that's what they're going to do. And I see it. Some teachers also fall into this. There's another element that was really brought to our attention in one of the lectures. The professor said, and this is part of the theory of growth mindset. They said, never ever praise a child's intelligence. And this is the opposite end. There are some parents who demonize or use terms which are derogatory to their children, which is another massive problem. But on the other hand, there are parents who will praise their children in the wrong way. Praising is good, but you need to know how to praise your child. You never ever praise intelligence. Never ever say to your son or your children, you're really smart, you're really intelligent. That's a big no. But then they start to think, oh, I can do X, Y, and Z because I have the gift. What they need to understand and recognize is that whatever I am achieving in terms of success is down to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. And that element we will discuss. The second is hard work. You praise the effort. You praise the struggle. And you build within them this notion that they have to struggle if they want to achieve something. They need self-discipline. If they get a good grade and they come home and they celebrate it, you should celebrate it with them. But don't say, son, you're so smart. Well done. No. Say, son, you worked so hard for that. May Allah bless you in that. May Allah increase you in that. That will make him understand, I got here because I worked for it. And he'll continue working. If you say it's down to his intelligence, books are closed, I'm God's gift, I don't even need to work, because I know stuff. So that is why never ever praise intelligence. And it's wrong to praise intelligence anyway. Because he didn't do anything to get that intelligence. You understand? There's a certain amount of ability which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted each person. Okay? So that is not of his doing. If he has a great memory, that's not his doing. That's something that's been granted him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He should be praised for what's within his capacity, what he's actually done. Has he put in the hours? His revision? Did he do all of his homework? These are the things that you praise. And also the element of character. When he's kind, when he's courteous, that's why you praise. You know what, son? The way you talk to that individual, that uncle, was really nice. Well done. Okay, that's how you should be treating people. That's why you praise. Not intelligence. So the way you address your children. There's an interesting story which Sheikh Adil Kilbani he was the Imam of the Haram in Mecca. He relates a really interesting story. He says that as a child, I was a very naughty child. Okay? As a child, I was very naughty. And I would always annoy my mother. And my mother would always get frustrated. Well, she would never shout at me, and she would never say anything derogatory or put me down. And when she got really frustrated, and in her anger and her frustration, she would say, "May Allah make you the Imam of the Kaaba." This is in her frustration. Like even when she was so frustrated with him, she would make dua for him. And by the blessings of that dua, he became the Imam of the Kaaba. It's very easy to shout, to tell a child how wrong they are, how bad they are. That's the easy. The difficult bit is say something nice. They will learn that from you. That, okay, well, when you're angry, what's the best way to react? If you react and you lash out, what do you think he's going to do when he grows up? He's going to do the exact same thing. So إذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه يا بني لا تشرك بالله. The first thing which he advises and admonishes his son, he says also, do not associate partners with Allah. This is the first thing. Because this is the most important thing. Because this is the thing that's going to save him and grant him a place in Jannah. لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. Indeed, associating partners with Allah is a great wrongdoing. ظلم عظيم. Shirk has been described as dhulm. And what is dhulm? Generally when we say dhulm, we think it's oppression. We think someone's beating someone up or someone's torturing someone. Not necessarily. Linguistically speaking, dhulm, the ulama, they defined it and they say, وَضْعُ شَيْءٍ فِي غَيْرِ مَحَلِّهِ. It is putting something in a place where it doesn't belong. That's dhulm. So basically you're assigning a status, a position to something which it doesn't deserve. And shirk is the worst of that type. How? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has the greatest status. No one has a status greater than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone is below Allah. So when a person commits shirk, he is doing one of two things. Either that person is raising the creation to the level of the creator, so he's taken something from here and he's put it all the way up there. Or he's taken Allah and he's put him on the level of the creation. Either way, he's assigned a status to one of the two which is not befitting. And that is why it is dhulmun azim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the ayah, إِنَّهُ مَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةِ. That whoever associates partners with Allah, حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make Jannah haram for him, prohibited for him. Shirk is the only thing which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And everything else, if He wants, He will forgive. That is why saving ourselves from shirk is goal number one. And if a person does, then he is on the track to go to Jannah. He is on the track to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next ayahs are interesting. Because they are in fact, the ulama say, they are actually not the advice of Luqman. They are not the advice of Luqman. The first bit, this bit, where he says, where he talks about shirk, لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم, this is Luqman. The second, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. We have enjoined on man good treatment, being dutiful to his parents. This is not the whole of Luqman. And the ulama mentioned an interesting point. That is common sense is actually something that is unanimously accepted. There is consensus of all the divine books that have been sent down, of all the prophets. they all said the same thing. After Allah, if there is anyone who has a status, it's the parents. But Luqman, he doesn't say it. And this is out of his modesty. This shows his character. He doesn't say, son, first is the haqq of Allah, the second is my haqq. You have to be dutiful to me. He doesn't say it. And this is testament to his character, to his wisdom, to his modesty. Because he's already taught his son the right of Allah. And if someone truly recognizes the right of Allah, he will then appreciate the right of the parents. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fulfill this advice for eternity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts this in. And he says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. And we have enjoined on man that they are dutiful and they have good treatment to their parents. حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامٍ. What's really interesting is that in these ayats, the sacrifices and the hardship of the mother are mentioned but not the father. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ, and his mother bore him, وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ, strain upon strain, or weakness upon weakness, hardship upon hardship, وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامٍ, and the weaning of the child is 2 years. We all know the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where a man came and he said, Ayyun nas, who is more rightful? Okay? Minni bihusni suhbati. Who has more right to my good treatment? Of all mankind, who is it that has that right to my companionship, my good treatment, my kindness? The Prophet said, Ummuk, your mother. He said, Thumma man, then who? Thumma ummuk, then your mother. Thumma man, then who? Thumma ummuk, then your mother again. Thumma man, thumma abuk, and then your father. Thumma al-aqrab fal-aqrab, then whoever is closest, then the next closest. That's a principle that's been given. But in that hadith, 3 times the mother is mentioned, then the father. And in this ayah, the reason is actually given implicitly. Because there are in fact 3 stages which the mother goes through. 2 of them are mentioned explicitly, 1 is mentioned implicitly in this ayah. The first is hamalathu. She bore him, she carried him. That is 1 stage. 9 months that child was in her stomach. The second stage, which is not mentioned explicitly but implicitly, we understand, is the birth. That's another stage and another episode all by itself. The third is the weaning over 2 years, when that child is in that stage where he can literally do nothing. And he needs like literally 24/7 attention. 3 stages, 3 status greater the Prophet ﷺ gave to the mother. It correlates. And it makes us understand why the mother has been given such a status as well. But there's another thing that we need to be thinking about. Let's say if we could somehow calculate and measure the pain, the frustration, the suffering that the mother goes through throughout all of this period. Okay? So, the carrying, the birth, and the weaning, and we could somehow put it into a machine. And we could subject a person to that amount of frustration, that amount of pain, and that amount of everything else suffering. Yeah? At the end of that, or if somebody subjected you to that kind of pain, what would your response be to him? You're going to turn around and give him back a few. Okay? Now this is something really interesting. The mother goes through so much, yet all she has is love for the child. This is mind-boggling. Someone subjected you to that much pain, and you have nothing but love for that person. Now if that person was a really good talker, by the end of it, he could probably convince you to stay away from him, the best. But what has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put between the mother and the child? That after all of that, she is still willing to die for that child. And ishkur li wa liwalidayk. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, be grateful to me and to your parents. Be grateful to me for the fact that she goes through all of this, yet she has nothing but love for you. And be grateful to her for what she has done for you. To your parents, both of them. This is a reality. That our parents are the people on this dunya who love us the most and who care for us the most. And that love has been placed there by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For if He had not placed there that love, logically it makes no sense. Logically, it makes zero sense. Why would you show so much love to something that has caused you so much pain? Doesn't make any sense. Well, the only reason that mankind does have that kind of love is because Allah has placed that there. And that is His ni'mah. That is His blessing. إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرِ. And to Him we are going to return. Meaning you're going to come back to me and we're going to judge you. Was you grateful to Allah? Was you grateful to your parents? Another element that I want to draw your attention to is back to this hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, your mother, your mother, your mother, then your father. Our parents are those who are most deserving of our best treatment. Yet the reality is, unfortunately, they seem to have to bear the brunt of our frustration, of our anger. If you show more respect, more love, greater treatment to your friends, to your colleagues, to your extended family, to your imam, to your sheikh, then your parents, something is wrong. That is a fact. If you have more respect for anybody else on this earth right now than your parents, and you treat them better than your own parents, then there's something seriously wrong. If you're willing to put out your red carpet treatment for everyone else and never to your parents, something is wrong. Because the only people who are truly deserving of that red carpet treatment is your parents. Sometimes we show love. By the way, when he's talking about being grateful, we need to understand what that means. Again, it's not simply thank you for what you've done. Okay? That doesn't put it. Okay? The element of shukr to your parents is you serving them, is you fulfilling your promises towards them. That is that element that we need to be doing. Not, I visited you once every year. No, not that. Or once. Whatever your parents need, you are there to give. You are there to make their life easy. Now, as human beings get older, we also get difficult. This is an interesting thing. When human beings are just born, they're difficult. When they get older, they're also difficult. But that shouldn't be a complaint for us. You have to look at it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you the opportunity for reward. When the child is doing, you can't do anything. Allah is giving you the opportunity. Will you give the correct tarbiyah? Will you bring it up properly? There's a reward. When your parents reach the old age, then they get difficult, but in a different way, or sometimes in a similar way. Against the same thing applies. That patience that you showed, that you showed to your children, that's the same patience that you need to show to your parents, or even better. Another element that I feel is important to say is you are responsible for your parents. What do I mean by that? Very clear. Your wife is not responsible for your parents. Okay? Don't think I'm a really good son because I basically ordered my wife to take care of my parents 24/7 so I can go out and chill. No. Allah SWT gave you the obligation. You can't subcontract it out to other people. Your obligation is your obligation. And you'll be questioned about your obligation. She will be questioned about her obligation. The problems arise in society is when we like to do other people's obligations and do other things instead of doing what we're supposed to do. If everyone did what they were supposed to do, there wouldn't be any problems. Would the divorce rate be so high? I'm not saying it's only down to this, by the way. Okay, don't misquote me. Okay? Well, I'm sure this is an element where some women will feel, okay, that are basically being brought into this household to be a carer for his parents. That's not the purpose of marriage. She's not coming into your family to be a full-time carer, a nurse to your parents. If your parents need that kind of attention, that is your responsibility. And you'll be questioned about that. And that is your opportunity to gain reward. If she does anything out of her goodwill, that's sadaqah on her behalf. So, as long as everyone is within their boundaries and their paradigms, and they are working within that and completing their obligations, there will be harmony in society, there will be harmony in the family as well. The next ayats then continue with this theme of parents and children, where it talks about وَإِنْ جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِمَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. Within the early Sahaba there was an issue which arose, especially with the young Sahaba, because they knew the importance of taking care of their parents, of obeying their parents, of being good to their parents. But then their parents were asking something from them which they couldn't give. Their parents were saying to them, you need to leave Islam. You need to commit shirk. You need to come back to idol worship. And there were companions who were placed in a difficult situation. What do I do? Because their parents were saying, we won't eat anything. We won't clean ourselves. We won't do anything until you come back and you leave Islam. Companions like Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Mus'ab ibn Umayr, they were put in this difficult position. So they came to Prophet and said, what do we do? At the end of the day, this is our mother, who helped us, who bore us, who took care of us, and this is her demand. Otherwise, she will put herself through some difficult scenario, some difficult situation. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that is the line. Yes. Obey them in everything but that. Because now you're transgressing into the line of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the problem. You see. When I start talking, I completely forget what time it is. Okay, I apologize. Okay, we've got 10 minutes. I think we just started, didn't we? Okay, no problem, inshallah. Even if you understand these 2-3 ayats, I think that's more than enough. There's a lot of lessons in here. So they were in that difficult situation where the parents are asking them to commit shirk, of associate partners with Allah. So Allah says, in that, okay, no, you can't do that. But still, وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. Still in this dunya, you be their companion in good. You still take care of them. You still look after them. You still say to them good words. You still address them courteously. Good manners. All of this still applies. Now we have children who are incredibly rude to their parents. And their parents are Muslim. This is a situation where the parents are non-Muslim and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, be good to them. So, children and all of us who have parents, we really need to understand the status that they have. and look at it as an opportunity. Allah has blessed us with this opportunity. And the other hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is very clear. When Jibreel alayhi salatu wasallam came and he pronounced 3 curses, and one of them was the person, one or both of his parents reach old age, and through failure to serve them, he can't get into Jannah. Okay, may Allah's curse be upon him. The Prophet said, Ameen. So this is an opportunity, and we need to look at it as an opportunity. The other side is very scary. The Prophet said that the anger of Allah is in the anger of the parents, and the pleasure of Allah is in the pleasure of the parents. This hadith really shakes a person. That sometimes we say stuff we don't mean. We can end up really upsetting our parents. I was talking to another youngster. He said, I have problems. I have a lot of problems. I said to him, what's going on? He said, he got some other problems, but apart from that, for him this was a side issue. He said, I'm not living at home, I've fallen out with my father, but I've got some different problems. I said, no, that is your problem. Never mind all these other problems, that is the problem. Well, he was thinking this was some kind of secondary issue. I said, no, this is your primary issue. You need to go back and you need to make amends with your father, whatever it takes. And when I say whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Apart from obviously the line which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has drawn. Because if your parents are upset with you due to a real reason, then Allah is angry with you. Then there's no success in life. There's no barakah in life. There's nothing in life. So all of his other problems stem from this problem. But he has, now this is where pride comes in. This is where arrogance comes in. But it's our duty, and this is one of the advice of Luqman which we probably won't reach, but it is that, close to the end. He said, don't be haughty, don't be arrogant. This is something that will destroy you, especially when it comes to parents. If you have a difference with your father, with your mother, let it go. Be the first, let things go. Never ever hold a grudge. It's not worth it. Why would you end up holding a grudge against your parents? But unfortunately, there are people out there who do. And the thing is, it's upon parents as well to make it easy for their children. Don't make it hard for your children to be obedient to you. If you make it easy for them, they will obey you. Okay? The path to Jannah is made easier. Because the goal at the end of the day is Jannah. It is paradise. It's about all of us getting there together. It's not about, I want to get there and I'm going to send as many people to Jahangir in the world. That's not the attitude. There's enough space in Jannah. You're not competing against them in that sense. Yes, you're competing for status inside of Jannah. But it doesn't mean you have to put someone down to get there. That's not the case. In fact, you take someone with you, that increases your status. And that is the mindset that we need to have. The last ayah. Ya bunayya innaha. This comes back to Luqman's advice, and we will finish on this inshallah. يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله. So from Tawheed, the first advice, Luqman jumps straight to Akhirah, to the hereafter. He says, "Oh my son, even if that is in a mustard seed, something even smaller than a mustard seed, if it's in a rock or in a mountain somewhere, or في السماوات, or somewhere in the heavens, or fil ard, or anywhere on the earth, yet to be Allah. Allah will bring it forth." Meaning very simply, any good that you do, however small it is, you're going to see it on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Any evil that you do, any bad that you do, you will see that as well in Yawm al-Qiyamah. Inna Allah latifun khabir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is subtle and He's aware of everything. He will very easily bring it out. Because He knows everything, He's aware of everything. So if you have that mindset that whatever I am doing is going to be shown, I'm going to see it again. Now the question is, whatever you have done, can you, if we were to replay it in front of you, would you stand there and would you look at it and would you smile? Or would you run from the room? That's what the question is. If you know that if this was replayed to me, I would run from the room, don't do it. But if you know that if this was replayed in front of you, you would stand there and you would smile and think, you know what, that was excellent, then Bismillah. At the end of Surah Zilzal as well, the same thing has been mentioned for us as well. So, with this idea, Luqman has implemented, and he wants his son to really grasp these two things. The first being that Allah is one, keep Him as one, He is uniquely one, worship Him as one, success. The second, don't forget Akhirah. Don't think you can get away with anything. You can get away with nothing. Because every single thing is going to be shown on that day. And in between is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is drawing our attention to. The status of the parents, especially the mother. So with these three things, inshallah, I will leave you. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He grants us tawfiq to understand and act upon these ayats. I definitely urge all of you to read these ayats at home, look at any relevant tafsir. My favorite tafsir is by Sheikh Amin Ahsan Salahi. I find it to be really good. You also have towards understanding the Quran, which is excellent. So to be honest, the corpus of tafsir in English is massively expanding. Nearly everything is becoming available in English. So before there may have been that reason that there's not that much access to understanding the Quran. You only really have a translation here or there. But now, subhanAllah, everything's everywhere. Okay? And in terms of the audio, video, everyone knows Ustaz Luqman al-Khani, you don't even need to go in there. Yeah? So there is a lot out there. And it's about connecting with the Quran. It's about understanding the ayats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قولوا قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.